I think it's time to go.
From the hills and hollers of southern Indiana to the Lone Star State of Texas, we are the hunters of the paranormal. Truth seekers, mount up.
Hello, everybody. We've got a good guest for you today. This is Mike Paterson from Sasquatch Ontario, and he's got an incredible story about communicating with Sasquatch and some other things. And we're just going to have a good conversation with him, and going to try to get the truth out about these beings. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Lee and Dave. I appreciate being here. Thanks very much.
Awesome. It's an honor to have you.
It sure is.
Hey, Mike. Go ahead. Mike, can you tell us when you...
there's a little bit of an X.
Is there? Okay. Let me see. How about now? How about now?
We'll just make the best. We'll make the best of it. It's all good.
Okay. Sorry, guys. All right. Can you tell us when you first had your encounter, Mike, and how all that played out?
Yeah. Basically, it starts up in 2008, but it goes back to my childhood when I had an incident. I had a sighting at the age of 10. I was walking up a road that I was doing some fishing, and I was spending a weekend with my family up in a place called Denby, Ontario. And that's Ontario, Canada. I think it's about 3.5 hours northeast of Toronto or something like that. And my dad had dropped me off fishing down the road, and I started walking back, and it was dusk, and that's when I saw one standing at the side of the road, and I always passed it off as a bear. And then fast forward to 2008, and I had basically buried that memory until I had a close vocal encounter back in 2008, and we were looking for them at that time. So the vocal that I heard was it was absolutely massive, filled the forest. It was an incredible moment that put me on this journey that 14 years later I'm still I'm in the thick of it at this point, but it's been a very interesting and amazing past 14 years dealing with this, and really gaining a lot of insight into who the Sasquatch are, what they are, what they're capable of. I've learned a lot in that time.
Can you hear me, Mike? Better on this one? I got a quick question for you. When you first saw the first Bigfoot that you saw, you said you thought it was a bear at first. Did it like mimic a bear? Because there's some footage that was put out on the internet. Go ahead. Anyway, the footage.
No, go ahead, Dave.
There's some footage online where there's it looks like a bear walking in a field, and he basically stands up and walks off, and it's a Bigfoot. But the way he was down on all fours walking around, it was like he knew he was being filmed, and he kept himself at just the right angle to where he looked like a bear. And then he stood up, and then he walked off. But they've scrubbed that footage. They've taken that footage down. And I was just wondering if that's what you encountered.
What I saw was standing on 2 feet, but I think, my mind wouldn't process. So I basically, the first thing that comes to mind is a bear. And I think a lot of people actually will state bear when they had a, depending on the encounter, of course. And then there's the feds that come in and say, you saw a bear, even though you didn't.
Yeah. Mike, have you had any trouble with authorities coming in on your property or messing with you?
I've been documenting on a private property up in the Kawartha Lakes region here in Ontario for the past 10 years. I was invited in by the property owner, and we've been plagued with trespassing, with stalking. There's been a helicopter flyover. There's been a very low Cessna that was scanning for maybe they were using some sort of technology, because I was given a drawing by the family of Sasquatch showing me that that's what this plane occupants were doing. This plane flying over at 10 o'clock at night was. I have the audio from it. It's so low, you think it's going to hit the cottage. The sound's so loud. I've had a black helicopter circle a building I was in once, which I actually captured 13 seconds of footage. There's no marks on it. It's got a camera mounted underneath. But, I'm persistently slandered, discredited, this sort of thing. I'm a hoaxer, I'm this, I'm that. So whatever, there's people out there trying to discredit me, and I'm fine with that. You want to do that, go ahead. But what I am sharing is the real deal. There's no embellishment. It's I share some pretty big stuff that basically changes our understanding of reality, and there's some people that don't want this stuff out there.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that we're finding out since we've been on this journey with this podcast, is that there's people out there that try to sabotage what you're doing, and it's just a bad deal. And they'll put things out there to try to discredit you, and like you've seen something in a movie and you're making it up. But the reality of it is that I've had my encounters, and David had his, and these things are real, and these things are out there, and we're looking for the truth out here, and we know that they're there. And I don't like it when people try to discredit other people or try to, make fun of them or do any of that stuff, because the reality is those people that are doing that are scared either of the truth getting out, or they're scared of it to start with. And it just comes out that way, I think.
I'll just say one thing too. What I have learned through, there's a lot of echo going on here, but through my experiences, I've learned the Sasquatch, basically, it seems that we can hide no secrets from them. So as far as them being a national security threat, the way they are a threat is they have the ability, if they choose to, expose things that, some folks in power are doing behind closed doors that is very, dark, sinister stuff that is being done by bad humans, as they call them, and they know it. They know what's going on, and this is the national security threat that they are, because they can expose that if they chose to. Right?
Absolutely.
Do you believe, Mike, that these Sasquatch, they know your intentions before you even get there? Because a buddy of mine that had an encounter close to the area where I found my footprint, and I had an encounter. Me and him both, we believe that they know your intention, whether you're good or you're bad, or if you mean ill, they know it, and we kind of think that they will reflect whatever your intention is. So if your intentions are good and peaceful, then they'll just leave you alone. But if you come across them and you're in a bad way, it's not going to work out good. That's how we feel about it.
Oh, I agree. They do know our intentions. They can read our energy. They feel us. They feel our energy. Sasquatch are absolute masters of earth energies. They can do things that change the whole game of our understanding of reality. So that involves, that energy involves our own energy, our feelings, what we're putting out, our intentions. So yeah, they definitely, they know if we're up to no good, or they know if we're lying. It's crazy stuff, but they definitely understand who we are as a person individually.
Do you think, Mike, that they can affect electronic devices? That's been a theory that people have put out there, for years. And I kind of think that they could have that ability.
All of them.
All of them. Wow.
I've been witness to them. Yeah, they can interact with our electronics, and I'm talking anything: audio, cameras, video cameras, phones, computers. I've been witness to all of it.
Wow. In the video, you call him. Are you calling him Nepatia or Nepatia, the Sasquatch that you encountered in the audio clip?
Yes. Yeah, his name is Nepatia, which was given to us by him through audio one night, where he basically said my name. He said Mike, Dwayne, the cottage owner, and
Wow.
Nepatia. And then he also actually says Anastasia, and he says sister. So we've gotten, I think, seven names from that family so far.
Wow.
Beautiful names.
Is like the cottage owner, did he did these things just walk around his property, or did they just appear? Did he just see them every once in a while?
Visuals are very minimal. They happen, but they're very minimal. But what I've learned about their abilities, so that there's as much activity that has gone on indoors as out at this point. And I know their invisibility because I've had physical contact so many times. I get a pat on the shoulder, or I've even had my face covered while I was sitting in a chair. I get pokes, and it's happened indoors and outdoors. So this is how I know their invisibility. They've materialized in partial form directly behind me. They've done it for a friend of mine inside of his home too. This activity follows me, right? Once you connect to them, it doesn't matter where you go. It can show up anywhere, and I mean anywhere.
There was a case here in Indiana where the guy was out. He was digging up arrow tips, Indian arrow tips and flint tips, and out of I guess it was a mound somewhere. But anyway, he was hiding out from the police, and he sees something that resembles like the predator, like standing in front of him. And he said when he noticed it, that it was like it couldn't believe that he could see it, and it like started cutting through the weeds in front of him, and it scared him, and he run out of there. And he had 2 sightings of them before that. I guess they looked like they were pretty good size. Like he thought they were police coming after him because, like I said, he was hiding. But I believe they have some kind of an ability like that, because when I found the footprint that I found, I only found one footprint, and I tried to track for about 45 minutes in an area where there were no leaves. It was down to the dirt because the creek had come up and washed everything out, and I could not find another track. Do you ever find just one track, Mike?
Yeah, actually, what I've learned through documenting over, the past decade, tend to go in the wintertime. So I've documented hundreds of footprints from the same family, and 100% of them go nowhere. Sometimes it's one single print. Sometimes the families come in and like 4 individuals have all left a single print beside each other. They choose to leave their prints. They do not have to leave them. So they can physically stand beside you and physically touch you with snow all around you and leave no footprints. I've scanned an area where there's no prints in front of my car, and then seconds later, I take another look, and there's an 18-inch footprint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So yeah, they choose to leave their prints. I just want to say one thing, because there is a lot of echo going on here.
Yes.
Can we try something, Dave? When you're not talking, can you just mute your microphone to see if that takes it away, just for a sec?
Me or Lee?
Okay. How about
Yeah,
now?
mute. Click mute on your microphone just for a sec. I just want to see if the echo goes away.
Okay, I muted on. Okay.
Okay, say something, Lee.
All right. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Okay.
Yeah, and
All right.
the echo's gone.
Excellent. We keep trying to work the bugs out on this thing, and it sometimes, like right now, I can't see David in here at all, but I can see him on my phone. And
okay.
Yeah, I can see myself on. I can see myself on my phone, and I can
Go
see
ahead,
Mike.
No, the echo just went away, but you turn your microphone back on there, right?
Yeah, my mic's on
I
right
hear it
now.
again.
You do hear the echo?
I hear it
Okay,
again.
wait a
No,
minute.
it's
right there. I muted David again. How about now?
Yeah, I don't hear it now.
Okay.
So I think it's echoing through his microphone when we're talking.
Yeah, I think so too.
So I have a suggestion. Maybe when David's going to say something, just unmute him and then mute him when he's not talking.
Okay.
Does that work?
Do that. Yeah, that'll work. Hey, David, I can see you on the other phone. Whenever you want to ask a question, just hold a pen up or something, and I'll unmute it for you. Okay.
Yeah, I have been.
The footprint that I found, it was one single footprint, and it was 4 inches long. It was like a little baby footprint. And the first thing that came to my mind, Mike, when I saw it, was that they have just given me a gift, and that it was a gift. That's what I felt.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a gift, because they do not have to do that.
And I tell you what I think happened was, my mother-in-law, she's handicapped, and there's a real pretty creek there, and we put a picnic table in the creek, and we cause it's like slate rock and real pretty rock outcroppings, and I put a picnic table in there. We put balloons on it, and we had a birthday party for her in the creek, and I had to help carry her down in there with her walker. But I think they were watching us that day, and they saw the balloons and they saw everything that was going on. And I think that was a way for them to they gave me a gift, basically, when they give me that footprint, or, put the footprint on the ground. It was amazing. It was the most amazing thing in the world. I tell you, me and my mom was mushroom hunting that day. And when I saw that, it was like that. I didn't care whether I found any mushrooms or not, because that was just made my day. It was amazing. And it was in a time of year when it was cold out, and that nobody in the right mind is going to have a child out in the forest at that time of year. So, and then there's been 2 other times we went there, and I've had I saw eyes. They were blue, electric blue eyes that were glowed in the dark, but they were only like 4 foot tall. They wasn't real tall. And I had a witness with me that witnessed that. And there was another time I went, and we were standing along the creek where I found the footprint, and I could hear them walking. We could hear them walking. One was walking on the right side of us. One was walking on the left side of us, and it was heavy footprints. And the forest is open enough that if it was a deer, if it was a small critter or whatever, you would see it because it was open enough. But I believe it was them paralleling us and walking past us. But I had went in there and left them gifts. I left them a marble, Mike, because I saw that you had left marbles before.
Yeah, marbles seem to be quite popular with this subject.
Yeah, I put them in I had an old turtle shell that we had found, like an old box turtle shell, and I put them in that. And then what happened was that when I found the footprint, there were no tree structures in there, nothing. And I went back a year to the day in the same spot, and they had bent a tree over that was about 8 inches on diameter, and they bent it over and they jammed the top of it down in a creek and made a perfect arc with it. And how they did it without breaking it, I have no idea, because it should have snapped, but it didn't. It was like it was formed like that, like some kind of energy formed it.
Lee, can I get a question
I'm
in
sorry,
here?
I keep talking about the stuff that I've seen. I'm sorry, Mike.
No, that's all good. No,
Lee, can you hear me?
oh yeah, loud and clear.
The portal aspect, Mike, they can come in and out of a different dimension, can't they? I think they can.
They move in and out of this this space. They've given me drawings trying to trying to explain how they do that, and I have a sort of an understanding. It looks like they mirror. I've witnessed things that look like they're mirrored, and they've drawn something that looks like it's mirrored. So something to do with that. I'm not sure, but it's a manipulation of energy, anyways.
I saw in the video with Nefertia that there was orbs. You were witnessing some kind of orb phenomenon. Do you guys have any like lights in the forest or anything like that at night? Have you witnessed any orbs at night?
There's definitely been. Yeah, there's been orb activity that I've witnessed personally on location, both indoors and out. So there's other strange light phenomena that comes with this too. So it's just littered with high strangeness, right?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I think David's wanting to ask you a question here.
Yes,
Mike, so
please.
I'm going to try to unmute him. You're unmuted, Dave.
He is unmuted.
Okay. Okay.
Can
yeah.
you hear you okay?
I was.
Can you hear him
yeah.
okay, Mike?
Yeah, I can hear him. Well, Lee, I was
Go ahead,
holding my
Dave.
pen up, but if you can't see me, then you're not going to see my pen. But no, my question is, these Sasquatches talk out loud to you verbally and using words, and a lot of people say they speak telepathically as well. Has that also been in your case, both those types of communications?
Yeah, I've experienced. Yeah, I've had mind speak telepathy from them, but it's not been a two-way conversation. It's been every time it's happened, it's shocking, right? Because it's loud and clear, and it's like it's a holy shit moment. And after it's happened a few times, I've gotten a bit more used to it, and I've responded, but I've not gotten a response back. So it's only been kind of one way, just showing their presence, showing that ability that they can do that. But yeah, I have experienced that several times. It's not been a lot, but it's been a few times, and it's happened with wood knocks too. But voice and wood knocks, like telepathic wood knocks.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that. And then the orbs, is that I have a question about that. Is that something you notice just at nighttime, or can these orbs also show up during the day? Maybe we just don't see them as well.
Yeah, I would assume they can show up anytime. It's something I've only witnessed at night, but there's no reason that it can't happen any time of day that I'm aware of, anyways.
Okay, Lee. Back to you. I'm going to mute this because of the dogs, and it's yours.
You there, Lee? I think we lost Lee.
All right, how's that?
It's okay. There he is.
the portal thing, Mike, you say have you ever I saw a clip where you said you witnessed one push a marble through the air. Is that correct? And it dropped like in the floor. I bet that was wild.
Yeah, so I was sitting at yeah, it was incredible. I was sitting at the kitchen table, and yeah, that's better. I was sitting at the kitchen table, and this is about 8 years into this now. So at this point, I've been witness to literally hundreds of marbles out of thin air. I've had dropped into my hand while my hands were cupped in my lap. I've had them materialize in a glass that's in my hand indoor while I'm standing indoors, this sort of thing, and been hit many times with them. Just marbles bouncing off me. It's been hundreds of them. So I never saw that moment where they like come through, and they finally showed it to me, and they did it 2 visits in a row. The first one was the best. So I was sitting at the table, and it was happening at about arm's length, and I looked towards the one end of the table. Dwayne is at one end, and my gaze was at the other end of the table for a sec, just where my jacket was hanging over the chair, and they knew where I was looking, and suddenly a marble appeared about arm's length, in midair, and it didn't pop through like quickly. They did it very slowly and deliberately, and I watched this little piece of marble slowly appear through empty space until it popped. It basically popped through into this dimension, dropped to the floor, and I had the window was open. I had audio outside, so I was recording it. It captured you can hear the marble hit the floor, and then me freaking out because I got to witness this, right? So yeah.
Do they
Crazy.
do these beings ever come to you in dreams, Mike? Do they ever communicate with you in dreams?
Yes. There's I've met several family members this way, and the first time they did it was one of the children. I think it was either Ashantia or Anastasia, at 4 years old, and I was basically, this is back in 2013. This is the first time this happened, and I was asleep on the couch, laying on my side, and in that dream, I was exactly the same as I was in real life, and I suddenly there was an older female in my peripheral. I could sense her there, and suddenly this small child was right in front of me, and I reached my hand out, and she did the same, and I held her hand, and I felt all her emotions run through my arm and
Wow.
through my body. She was completely freaked out, but she was so excited, and she just had I remember I could see her face, and she just had this just amazing smile on her face, and she was at one point I had the control to give my arm just a little shake purposely to get a reaction from her, not to scare her, and it worked, and then this explosion of her emotions went up through my arm because I was holding onto her hand, and through my body, and she didn't let go, and then when it was over, and I did let go, then I woke up, and you wake up immediately, and it's just mind blowing. So I that was the first time, but I've met Neff after playing some jokes on me, moving in with a friend of mine, and then I met the father, who I believe is the father of the family, where a new location came to me almost immediately after that. So I've met several members of the family that way. They've shown up. They have this ability to they understand energy at a quantum level that's absolutely astounding. Their knowledge of energy is mind blowing.
It's like the dream state is the state that our brain has to be in to connect with that dimension, is what I think. I think that we kind of connect with the dimensions in the dream state, or the astral, if you want to call it the astral plane or whatever. I actually dreamed of a young juvenile after I found the footprint, and it was so real. I mean, it was like sticking its hand through the window of the house, and it kind of scared me actually when I saw it. And it was really, but at the same time, it was neat. I didn't know how to react to it. It was just mind blowing. But I believe that they are teachers. I think they're teachers, Mike. I think that they have something that they want to teach us. That's actually what I believe about them. And I think that the Native Americans worked with them, and I think
everything they.
Go ahead, Mike. Didn't mean to cut you off.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay. Go ahead.
No, I did. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Anyway, I was just going to say I think the Native Americans.
Just because there's that echo, right?
Yes. Okay. How about now? I had to mute Dave. I'm sorry, works. Dave. I think the Native Americans learned things Dave. From them and worked with them, and I think they taught them things. And I think that's what they're here. They want to teach us things, but they don't know how to approach us. And, we don't have the knowledge to know how to approach them. But I think that they are teachers of they're teachers of the forest for sure. I think.
That's just the way I Lee, this whole journey with them, everything they do is a teaching moment. Everything you can gather information from what they give us, just like a marble coming out of empty space, or a physical touch, just a little poke. It's like, oh wow, you're invisible. Or if they show themselves and disappear into thin air, just every little thing they do, the mind speak. Oh, you can talk. It's constant giving of knowledge that they're sharing with
us. Mike, do you know who a Kawani Lapsaritis is? Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know who Kawani is. Yeah.
We listen. Me and my wife.
Yeah, they're pretty much isn't. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, man.
No,
me and my wife were listening.
No, go ahead, Lee. It's just
Me and my wife were listening to a video of Kawani Lapsaritis, and my wife doesn't, buy into everything or believe a lot of that stuff. And she was over there listening, but she dozed off and fell asleep. And she told me, she said, "Turn that off." She said, those Bigfoot things are real. And she said, there was one standing over here by the bed beside me trying to pull the covers off of me. And that happened twice when I was listening to Kawani Lapsaritis talk about the stuff that we're talking about now. And I thought it was more than a coincidence. And then my wife even told me, she said she had a dream about him, and they were trying to get her to come outside to go meet him out by the edge of the woods. So there's something to it. I believe it.
Yeah. And they come into our homes as well. And I've had it happen many times. Well, numerous times where they show their presence in our homes. They have ways of, doing things. I have a coffee table right here with a stone top. One morning, it was about 5:30 in the morning. I get up, go to the bathroom. I jump back into bed. And as I'm laying there, trying to fall back asleep, I hear two loud knocks on the stone top. I'm just in the next room there, right? So clearly two knocks on the table. There's nobody else here to do that. So this is sort of things that they do to show their presence. And I call them fleeting moments too, because they tend to be pretty quick. They'll do something and, a couple knocks on a table or a slap on the side of the house or whatever, a little touch or poke or little things, and then it's over, right? Just to say, hey, we're here.
Mike, I got a question, buddy.
Yes.
Can you give us like a round number? How many Sasquatches you think you've communicated with?
Oh, well, there's Neff's family. I don't know how many members are there. There's at least a half a dozen. Neff has been the main communicator, although I've developed written communication, and much of it has not been him doing the writing. There's been multiple writers. He's done a little bit, I think, but as far as I'm also developing contact with another family right now as well. that have been showing
Wow.
their presence to me at home.
Awesome.
And it feels like I'm starting all over again too, right? But just the other week, it was about 5 dozen wood knocks throughout the night, and some of them were so loud and so close. They were all over the woods, and I was recording. And then when I went to get my audio recorder in the morning, there was still snow on the ground, so I have my path that I'm walking back and forth. Just before I get to the audio recorder, like seconds before, you hear a big crack, big stick break right near the microphones. I didn't hear it until after fact when I'm playing it back, but they knew I would hear it, right? Because they know what I'm doing. So they knew I would hear it, and that's basically saying, crack, we're right here, Mike. We're standing here. So when I got my audio recorder, they were right there. I didn't see them, but that's how they let me know. And so throughout that same night, there was 5 dozen wood knocks that I recorded. Some of them are just massive, huge, very loud, and I knew that was for me because they knew I'm recording, and they showed me that with that stick break in the morning. So as far as communicating how many with I really don't know. I know this family here, they've let their young one run around my tent. I've recorded a young one running up to my tent, sound like it's rubbing 2 rocks together, and they're really small footsteps. So I have no idea how many, Dave, but
Wow.
a
No, it's
few.
okay. Good question in the chat from my awesome friend Nana. Does Neff still come by daily? And did he introduce his family to you in a while? Has he introduced his family to you in a while?
It's not a daily thing. Contact with them is it's periodic. I have no control over it. They show up when they show up. They are probably watching me a lot more than I realize, because of those abilities of theirs. It allows them to observe without us knowing that they're there. I basically went into a situation where a family has had this ongoing presence of Sasquatch on their property over a span of decades. So I basically went in and developed that and brought that together so they were connected. So it was more about me connecting others than it was about me. Although they've given me all this, just a massive support over, astounding amount of supporting evidence over the years, so I can speak my truth and share my experiences to help dispel, fear and that sort of thing. So as far as Neff coming around and how often, I don't know. His family, though, yeah, we've interacted with numerous members of his family. A more recent one has been a young fellow. I believe his name's Mushka, and he's a bit rambunctious. I think he's about 14, 15 years old, and he's like before we knew Neff's name, we called him Mr. Funny. So this is kind of like Mr. Funny Jr. And he's always playing tricks, putting eggs in my shoes or putting smells in my face. He's a bit rude at times. So
I didn't mean to laugh. It's just seeing, thinking about Sasquatch pranking people is kind of funny.
Yeah, they do it a lot. There's a lot of humor with their activity.
And me and Lee say that all the time. We believe that we are their entertainment. That's why I believe places closer to where there's people, they'll lurk back there and watch, because that's kind of all they got. I believe that anyway.
I think they're close to us because they're teaching their children about humans. So, you'll get the ones that are whatever out in the middle of nowhere. And those are probably the ones that really they don't want to be around humans. They know how we are. But the ones that are close to us, because you look at sightings databases and that's only a portion of what's happening. You know, there's so much going on that is not spoken about, and so they're all around us. You know, it's not difficult to find Sasquatch activity. For myself, it's been like I used audio, and I've used audio recorders, and they don't mind that. I've been using them for the last 14 years, and there's no issue with the audio, and I've learned a lot about their behavior and how they interact with humans using that method. And as I mentioned, I think that they're close to us because they're teaching their families, their children about humans, because this is our future, contact with their people.
I have to ask you, are you a lover of nature? Whether it be hunting, fishing, just the outdoors, period.
Oh, hell yeah.
See, we all have this theory
Yeah,
about,
actually, I don't hunt.
That, almost like they're choosing us. They're choosing the people that have that love for nature, if that makes any sense. Or they're more comfortable with us.
Of course,
with the whole intuition thing.
They do choose they choose who they make contact with, and they want humans. They haven't told me this, but they want humans to connect with nature. You can just tell, with the interactions and what goes on. They want us to connect to nature because they see the path we're taking, and this is how I ended up first looking into them. I was spending time in the woods with a camera, looking for photo opportunities. I love nature. I used to fish way back. I don't do it anymore, but I don't hunt, but I hunt with a camera. That's about it.
It just seems like, to me, it just boggles me how many reports we have heard Sasquatch interacting with people, and all of those people have that thing in common where they have that love for nature.
I got a quick question for you, Mike.
There's a lot of okay.
Go ahead, Lee.
Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I've got a bad delay here.
No, go ahead, brother.
The question that I was going to ask Mike was, when he uses a microphone out in the woods, does he tell him up front that he's going to use it, or is it just like, I think I'll just slip this down by a tree, or leave it, or you just tell him up front, I'm going to leave this out here and I want to hear you?
Good question.
I'm completely honest with them. I tell them what I'm doing with gear. If I put a trail cam out, it's not for them. I'm putting it out to see what other wildlife is out there. As far as the audio, I tell them this, I can hear. This is all I can do with this. It doesn't have a camera. I can't see you. I can only hear. I love your voice. I would love to hear your voice. I tell them this sort of thing. I don't try to trick them. I did way back in the beginning, because I had no idea what I was dealing with, but I don't do that anymore, and I haven't for a long, long time.
That makes sense, that they would be more comfortable with you straight up telling them that you're going to use this recording device than to try to, kind of shystily use it on them. I think it's just a more honest approach, and a lot of people just try to slip things out there and hide things, and they're watching them. They're watching them when they do it, so they know that they're doing it. So I think that would be a very good approach, and it looks to me like you've had some really good success with communicating with them. Is their language? Have you heard any of them speak like a Native American type language, or is it just English when you hear it?
I've recorded, I believe, numerous languages from them, English included, but there's been other language as well. Some of it native sounding, like Ninadadwa, that's one word that I got from them. I actually got the meaning of that word in English from them. And that it means invader go, which was in reference to some trespassing that had been going on at the time. This was back a few years back, although that still goes on, but so that word right there, Ninadadwa, sounds very native, or Nyedahu.
Sure does.
word there, that also sounds native. There's been some Asian sounding dialect and other stuff as well. So there, I asked them about language once. I said, "What language do you speak? What language do your people speak?" And they wrote all. So
Wow.
is that on an individual basis that they know all? I don't know, or it's like, hey, I know this. I think that language really is no barrier for them. I think they're able to feel and understand words. And I say that because of an experience I was given at one point.
I got a quick question. The young Bigfoot that you touched in the dream, you said the name was Anastasia, and that would be a Russian name, like the Royal Anastasia, the daughter of the Tsar of Russia, and that's almost a tie to the Russian Bigfoot. And if that's the case, then these things are all over the world. That's fascinating to me. I like that name.
It is a cool name.
Oh yeah.
There's some of the names that we've been given are I don't know how to pronounce some of them, but I understand what you're saying about the Russian tie. I actually asked them at one point, what do you call your people? And they wrote Mushtaba. And I remember seeing something similar to that written by some Russian regarding some Sasquatch Yeti thing. I can't remember, what it was about.
That's fascinating. Wow.
It was just interesting that they wrote Mushtaba. And
is there any reason, Mike, why you guys like to go out in the wintertime and try to research these Bigfoot?
So yeah, there's a few reasons. First of all, the humans can't hide their footprints. So if anybody comes traipsing around, we know if we're being stalked. We know if there's trespassing. So that's one thing. The other is there's a lot of cottages up there, but a lot of them are shut down over the winter. There's still people that go up there in the winter, but there's a lot less activity going on as far as human activity. That's another reason. And then the other reason is the footprints. I never get tired of seeing the footprints, and so they do that often. They show their prints. They'll give trackways and single prints in the snow, which I've documented a lot of. So yeah, there's a few reasons why we love the winter.
Sorry, Lee.
Go ahead, David.
I know we haven't listened to the clip yet, but I've heard it a lot of times, and it seems like each time it gets better. I want to ask him, what does he think that Nefertia meant by "get that woo"?
Get the woo.
Get the woo.
Oh yeah, Yetahu. I think it's I think it's a greeting of some sort, but I'm not sure. One time I wrote it down, and they drew a flower there, so perhaps it means something. Maybe that's what they call a flower in their language.
It made me.
I don't. I'm not sure.
It made me.
I'm not.
It made me
100%
also
on
wonder. It also made me wonder if he was saying a name. I didn't think that at first, but get that woo, get the woo, maybe could be a name. Who knows? It kind of has a weird name, but the rest of the names are just absolutely beautiful.
Did you hear him say they drew a picture of a flower, David? And
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is just awesome. The whole marble thing, the flowers, and it, whew, it's awesome.
Do you guys leave them food or anything like that, Mike?
Yeah, we've had a lot of Weird stuff happened with that too. So we tend to bring gifts all the time, food items and that. So as I mentioned, there's a lot of activity that goes on indoors. So Dwayne likes his pepperonis. So the first time this happened, he brought a package of pepperonis. There's maybe close to 15 in a pack. So at one point, this is the first time this happened. At one point, he goes in the fridge to get some pepperonis, and he looks and he asked me, he goes, Mike, did you eat some of my pepperonis? I said, no, man, I haven't touched them. He goes, okay, well, there's some missing. I didn't touch them, man. And then it's gotten to the point where he'll put them in the fridge. I'll count them, and I'll count them like 2-3 times to make sure I get the number right. And then I'll keep counting them throughout the night. And it's even happened where the package has not even been opened yet, and some of them have gone missing.
Wow.
And then there was another incident where I would bring a pie and put it for them, and within minutes there's a finger poked in the pie. But I had another one where I brought a pie and they hadn't touched it, so I cut a piece, and it's a damn good thing I didn't break my tooth, but it looked like it had not been touched, and it hadn't, except for there was a marble inside. So they materialized a marble inside the pie without it looking, touched.
Amazing.
These are the crazy things they can do, right?
That is amazing. I'm glad you didn't break a tooth, Mike. Wow.
Yeah, me too. Expensive.
That been
Teeth
a
are
marble.
expensive.
Yeah, marble pie. That could get real expensive. Wow.
Hey, Mike, that might have been the little one that was playing the pranks on you. You never know.
Mike, do you guys find any like deer? Like, do they hunt deer around where you're at? And have you found any dead deer that they have maybe used as a food source, possibly?
I've never found any sign of anything like that. I haven't really looked for it. So when we're doing this, for me, research, for Dwayne, he's visiting his cottage. We go there, we just have a good time. We have a few beers and sit down and just chat all night, and we're in and out. And so we're not really going into the woods the woods are right across the road. His cottage is on a small bay adjacent to a larger lake. And so there's basically a single lane gravel road out front of the cottage, and then his property continues on the other side. 60, 70 degree angle, levels off, maybe about 150 feet up. And I tend to when I'm sleeping in my tent, not the winter time, but when the time of year when I can, the temperatures are still good, I'll put my tent up in the woods back there. And but other than that, I lost my train of thought. What your question was? Sorry about that.
That's okay. I was just asking about deer. If you'd found any wild game that they had tried to eat. And
so we've given them lots of food. Just explain something about some of the food gifts. Also, where bring them some apples. And it's happened where I've left an apple at the door and it's got a big bite out of it, but the apple has not turned brown yet. And you know how fast an apple will turn brown once you take a bite, right?
Yeah,
within minutes, really. So this was so fresh; it had just been bitten into. So we've left gifts where they don't touch it sometimes they do. So they're not ravenous, it's not like we leave food gifts and they're just gobbling it all up. Much of the time they're not touched.
Mike, we had a question in the chat room. Have you ever had any conversations with First Nations people about these Bigfoot?
Yeah, not very much. A little bit. It's. I think for the most part, people tend to find it difficult to believe the extent of the communication I've had with them. There's I guess, I don't know, maybe an hour from here, there's this place where I stopped in. I think it's Mohawk territory, and I stopped in at a head office spot there on my way to uh, visit a friend of mine there one time, and I was hoping to set up a meeting where I could talk to an elder or a chief or whatever, and I told them some of my stuff, but nothing ever became of that. So I think it's probably a bit much for them, right? So I've had a little bit of discussion, but nothing really in depth.
Do you have any cave systems there, or limestone or bedrock, or where you're at?
Yeah, as far as the topography of the area is very like hilly. I wouldn't say mountainous. There's not mountains, but it's very hilly terrain. So I assume there's caves, in the region. Of course, I would think somewhere there's a lot of uh, up where Neff's family lives. There's a lot of crystal, a lot of quartz, that sort of thing. So I think that may have something to do with energies, because of because of the minerals in the ground. I think that might have to do with something. I'm not sure, but it's just speculation.
That was why I was asking, because that was the theory that we'd had, that in areas that had a lot of crystal or quartz is seems to be where there's a majority of sightings, especially in the case where I'm at. And it's hilly where I'm at as well. And maybe there are a few cave systems around where we're at, and there's actually a large cave system to the south of where we're at. But we kind of tend to think that has something to play into the quartz. Have you been gifted quartz, Mike? Because we've heard of accounts where they will gift quartz or place it around the area where they're frequenting.
Um, I, I haven't really been gifted a lot of stones of any type. There's been a little bit. No quartz though. Like I have a whole bunch of quartz in here. In my apartment here. I got rocks and plants, and I got lots of nature inside here. I like to surround myself with that stuff. But I haven't really been gifted quartz though.
No. Have you been gifted anything at all from them other than just verbal gifts?
Little hand woven gifts. Both Dwayne and myself, whenever they would give to one of us, they would give to both of us. So yeah, we've been given these, like made from a plant material, and they're basically woven in. Give me one sec here. There's one right here.
Oh, that? Wow. That's fascinating. Wow.
Yeah. They
Whoa.
And it has a loop, so I can wear it as a pendant, right?
That's cool.
Yeah. So we've gotten a few of these. You can tell as well. So some of them. Well, the ones that have been made, you can tell they've been made by different family individuals. Some the ones that I've been given, I can tell have been made by probably the little sister there, and then Dwayne. Some of the ones he's been given are a lot more intricate. He's even had marbles sewn into them. One of them, I think, is depicting a pregnancy at the time. That's our guess. One's like a hair braid thing that they gave him because he's got long hair. So yeah, you can tell just the intricate how they're made. That this one's made by a child, this one's made by somebody more experienced. So they've been made by different family members. We've been given I got a half a dozen of them.
Wow. And they're all different the way they twist them, or do they have like similar like techniques of the way they do it? They're all kind of similar.
Similar, but they're all different items, right?
Right.
I've also been given like literally dozens of drawings from them as well.
Oh, drawings, you said?
Yeah.
I was going to ask if you ever like put a pad of paper out and let them and a pencil to see if they would draw on it.
Yeah.
You've had the results. Did you guys did you have something?
If you want to give me one more.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was going to say something about the camera. Did you get like some photographs one time that they had put on your camera as well?
Yes. So this is one of the things over time I've developed written communication and as well with the camera. So when we started doing this, it was started outside in the woods with both the writing and the camera stuff. So instead of trying to trick them for a camera or trick them for a photo, my thought was I'm just going to buy a point and shoot camera and leave it as a thing for them to play with, right? Yeah, there's still a lot of echo going on here.
I think it's Dave. There you go. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. That's where the echo's coming from.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, actually, I have. This is the camera right here that I actually bought for them to play with. So I would get images that would appear on the camera, and they would do funny stuff like, like just ridiculous. Oh
wow!
A bit of a glare there, so you can't really see that. You get a lot of. At first, I was getting a lot of eyeball shots, and then I was getting, people are saying, "Oh, it's this, it's that," and though, I never said that they were Sasquatch eyes. I said they were putting the images on the camera. So what happens is I put a sketch pad, a chalkboard, and a camera and a video camera on the table. So I'll be sitting there at the table. Dwayne and I are having a conversation, and this thing is within arm's reach, and I keep checking it while we're sitting there. It hasn't left my sight, and new images would appear while I'm still present, and it hasn't left my sight. So we even had an incident where the back of this viewfinder, there was two fingerprints that appeared like that, and Dwayne was standing up in the kitchen, and he looks over at the table, and he sees my camera, and he goes, "Look!" And I stand up, and we both go. We look at the camera, and we stood there, and we watched condensation dry up within several seconds. Just happened, literally. We caught it within seconds, happening right under our nose, basically. And sometimes you catch just right after that moment where they've been handling something, and it's all crazy fun.
Have you had bad smells coming from them? Have you smelled the smell that everybody talks about smelling?
When I first started going there, I had one incident. It wasn't very strong. This was like right at the beginning. And then more recent, this winter, we had an incident from the young male who basically gave us a night of smells, and it was weird. It was all indoors basically, and they were, you know, pretty rude smells. Dog crap was one of them, and then some sort of you know, horse or whatever manure. And at one point, the smells were being directed between or to either myself or to Dwayne, and I would smell it very strong, and he would smell nothing, and he'd only be sitting a few feet away from me, and vice versa. And then at one point, we're sitting at the table, and I could actually feel a stream, like a wind of smell going right up my nostrils. And
Oh, wow.
I ended up with I had my hoodie on the back of my chair, and it was wet at one point, and I'm like, what the hell? And I smelled it, and it had urine all over it. So, you know, this was just, yeah, there was a night of all these. They basically showed me that we make these smells happen. It's not that we smell, it's that we turn this on and off. That's what they were showing us.
Wow.
The
We
urine,
had
I don't know
another
what that was about.
Mark, they were marking you. We had another question from the chat room, Mike,
Yeah.
from Tom. He wanted to know what happened to the guy who was trying to mess up Mike's relationship with the Sasquatch that claimed to be a researcher. Can you talk about that, or is that a touchy subject?
Oh, I'm an open book. I talk about anything.
Awesome.
I don't share everything I've learned and I know, because some things are not meant for everybody, but I'm pretty much, I'm an open book. So this situation has basically been plagued by interference and trespassing. I caught two guys on location. One guy is a BFRO. He's out of Toronto. I caught him red-handed, got him on video. So he basically created a slander channel, and we were trying to figure out who that was coming from, and then we pulled his voice. I, you know, figured out through his voice on his videos, and it was funny because after I stated that publicly, the voice changed. You know, started putting filters on it. You know, it's just like, nah, you're already caught, dude.
Wow.
And so he's been most of the slander and, you know, all this stuff going on is basically been from one individual who's very obsessed and back with really long sleeves and a rubber room. So he's basically a criminal stalker. Yeah, he's been stalking, and I come out and say it publicly because he would be implicating himself doing criminal behavior, you know, because you can't stalk somebody outside their residence, you know, at night, and you just can't do that. It's against the law, right? So I think he witnessed a paranormal incident that he doesn't understand. He's been involved in this subject for over 2 decades. He's got nothing, and this is the BFRO, right? So I've been involved with science. I've been involved with John Bindernagel and Dmitry Bainov. Dmitry was not on any social media. He was more behind the scenes, science director of the Darwin State Museum in Moscow. He'd been involved in the subject since 1964, and so he contacted me at one point, and because of back some messages I'd had with Igor Burtsev from Russia, and I was talking to Igor about some of the paranormal stuff that's gone on, and so he forwarded that to Dmitry, and that's why Dmitry contacted me, because he knew I was the real deal talking about that stuff, right? So I had been pulled into this group email, which involved, you know, some well-known names like Meldrum and Ron Moorhead. But at one time, Dmitry had told me, you know, a good handful of them had approached him, basically discrediting me, trying to get Dimitri to not take me seriously, as well as when John was alive too. Both have passed now, but they were telling John the same thing, because he would use some of my stuff in his presentations, and he quit using my name because he was getting a lot of flack in his ear from people, because I don't hold back, right? Both John and Dimitri asked me. John actually said, I'll be happy to support you, but you got to tone it down about their abilities. And I just said, sorry, I can't do that. I can't do that. It's just, I have to tell my story, how it is. I'm not going to sit there and pick and choose of what I'm going to say. So, respectfully, of course, I, told John I wouldn't do that, but he continued to use some of my stuff in his presentations. He just stopped using my name. And so some of these people, some of these, more known names, except Ron. Ron, I got full respect for Ron. Throughout this entire time, he's not said boo, right? I can't say the same for who he's worked with, like Scott Nelson and that. Scott, I had issues with. I've had issues with numerous folks involved in this subject. Just petty human ego, as far as I see, because they don't like the fact that this guy comes along. I'm nobody. I'm just some layman. I don't have a PhD, and actually, I think a PhD goes against you. Sticks you in this little box, right? Doesn't let you climb out of it. And so, yeah, I come along and I just have this constant mountain of supporting evidence over and over and over. I just keep putting this stuff out there and talking about their abilities, and there's quite a few people that did not appreciate that. So
thank you very much, Mike, for trying to get the truth out. For getting the truth out and telling it the way that you see it, and not changing your story. We appreciate that about you, and that's what our show's about, is getting the truth out. And for some reason, they don't like that truth getting out, Mike. I don't know why, but it's that's as much a mystery as these beings are, is why they're trying to suppress this. Do you have any clues of why you think that they're trying to suppress the truth?
Definitely. This system that we're all basically forced into, it's corrupt. It's corrupt to the core. It's broken. It's run by psychotic. It's manipulated by a bunch of psychotic billionaires, as far as I'm concerned, and with some pretty dark agenda towards the masses. And with this sort of thing, like, there's a bigger connection going. The feds have lied to us for decades about the whole UFO thing. Now they're saying, oh yeah, now they're real, and they're just trying to control the flow of information. They're always pushing fear, right? The manipulation through fear, using fear tactics. Those of us who fear, we're easy to control. And when you have lose, somebody who doesn't fear, somebody whose mind has been opened, or its consciousness expanded through these contact situations, you cannot be controlled. So if this happens with the whole world, and suddenly everybody's waking up to all this, this system is going to fall apart, and these people will no longer have control over us. And so it's a whole control factor, I think, that's behind it all. And this stuff, once it becomes basically mainstream and understood to a certain level, is they lose power over us once this all comes out.
That's very well put, Mike. That's exactly the way we feel about it. That they will lose control once the genie's out of the bottle, and it can't be put back in. And that's what I think these beings are trying to teach us, is to free yourself from this construct that we are surrounded with on a daily basis and have been for hundreds of years. And they have the true freedom that we all seek. And once we learn some of these abilities that these beings have, it's game over, like you said, Mike. That's how I feel. I feel that in my spirit feels that in my soul. That's just how I feel, what I think about the whole situation. And they will try time and time again to knock you down and ridicule you. Ridicule and ego is the worst thing that could ever happen in this field of study. You know, we're just trying to study and find the truth of what's going on, and it's like a dam being held back of information. And once that breaks loose, it's going to be a wonderful thing, I believe.
I agree. And, you know, Lee, the whole reason, well, a big part of the reason why I do this, because this breaks the mold. This is why I do this. I do not like this system, and this goes against it. And I've been a rebellious kid, growing up. I was a little shit growing up my whole life, and now I understand why. I was always awake at a certain level, and I could never be controlled. And now I understand at this point in my life why I grew up as I did. And what I've been given with this is it's a beautiful gift that I'm able to share these experiences to, help many people understand some things going on with their own lives and their own experiences. So it's been nice that I've been able to help numerous people, and this information, this knowledge, it breaks us out of this construct. So
that is an awesome thing, Mike, helping others through this. And me and David have had talks with people that are really struggling with the things that they have seen, and they've tried to get the truth out, and they try to go on shows and talk, and they're still being ridiculed. But at the end of the day, they saw what they saw, and you can't take that away from them. Now, if there's people out there that's making stuff up or whatever, that's on them. But that will take away from the people that have actually had these experiences. And that's one of our goals with this show. If we could ever get our audio problem solved, is we're wanting to try to help as many people as we can to deal with this, and to let them know that yes, this is a reality. These things are out there, and sometimes things may look a certain way, but it may be a blessing in disguise. And I got another quick question for you, Mike. Do you guys have any UFO activity up there? Have you witnessed anything like that around the area where you're having these experiences?
it was back in July 4th, 2018, and 15 days later, I was given two UFO incidents, one in the daytime, one at night. And I know they were given to me and put in front of me, especially because of how the first incident occurred. I didn't see a craft on both occasions, but I'll explain quickly. So the first one, 12:30 in the afternoon, I'm driving north of Toronto on the 400, about 5-6 lanes over from the left. Pearson Airport is right there on my left side. I'm going with the flow of traffic. And both times the conditions were pristine. So there was not a cloud in the sky on this day. And I took note of that. It was completely cloudless. So I'm driving with the flow of traffic, the 12:30 in the afternoon. So the shadows are almost basically directly underneath the vehicles. And suddenly a large shadow passed over top of me, but it's going just slightly faster. So it took a little bit of time. It was passing over top of me. I took notice instantly because there was no noise. It had to be very low to give off the shadow that it did. It was a large shower length and then a transport in my immediate left lane. And I watched this shadow envelop this truck, and it moved over top of it. And I instantly, I just had that WTF moment, like what the hell? And I struck my head out the window, where's the plane? And there was absolutely nothing there. So it was a cloaked ship. There's no other explanation. It was a cloaked ship. So 15 days later, I was up in Neff's area, and I was by myself. And again, it was pristine conditions. The stars were in their full brilliance, and I could see. I was sitting on this gravel road. I'd come out of the forest so I could watch the sky, and I'm sitting in a chair, and I see way off in the distance, the horizon there. I can see flight path. I can see planes passing every few minutes, and I can hear their engines. How the engine catches up after the plane passes. I can see the flashing lights. Everything's clear as day, no problem. And then I see this bright light, and it basically looks like it's a plane pointed directly at me from way off, in that same distance. And I noticed almost immediately there was no flashing lights on it. So I stood up and I watched it, and it came towards me, and it got closer and closer. And I'll say too, this is a dead still night, so you can literally hear a pin drop. There's a lot of nights up there like that. So this thing ended up passing over top of the road. It seemed to be maybe a couple thousand feet in altitude. I've done a bit of skydiving, so just give me it's a general. Roughly, it was fairly low, but it was a very large, bright light, and it was so bright I couldn't see a craft. And when it passed over and it was close, I heard nothing. It was dead silent. So that was 2 incidents 15 days apart.
Was the light on it? Was it a yellow or orange or a white colored light, or was it a different color than that?
Basically white.
Like a white. Okay. Did it just slowly move over top of you? You said, and
not over top of me. It was just down the road a bit. It might have been a couple 100 yards down the road, and it passed over top of the road. Just dead silent though. So if it was a drone, I would have heard something.
Right. Have these?
It was fairly large.
Have these beings like Nephitia and any of the ones that you've talked to? Have they talked about having a connection with star people or UFOs connection of any sort?
When there's vocalizations, conversation, everything is very short. It's never been this extended conversation. A little bit with some of the back and forth verbal stuff. There's been a little bit of some good lengthy stuff, but it's not that long. But there's not been where, like, a lot of the communication has been written where I'm asking questions. I've developed questions over the years where, without to, diminish any confusion, basically writing questions to yes or no responses. So I make it easy for them, right? It's not always like that when they respond, but I know there's been reports of Sasquatch seen coming and going from UFOs. That corroborates as well that there's a connection there. But as far as there's been stuff alluded in drawings as well. I've asked about UFOs and stuff, and they've drawn one when I've asked about them. So
wow.
There's a lot of stuff, enough supporting that alludes to the connection of Sasquatch and extraterrestrial, other types of beings. And you can see, of course, it's going to happen because of their ability, their telepathic capability is just absolutely astounding, right?
Mm-hmm. Mike, I got a quick question for you. The audio from Ron Moorhead, the samurai chatter that he has, have you noticed any like language similarities between your audio and his? Have you heard any words in there that were similar? Because you and Ron is the only ones I've ever heard good vocalization from.
There's been a couple of little things, not anything like the stuff Ron's recorded and Alan Berry. A lot of it's been very rapid, where it's not like that with the stuff I've recorded. Although I will say, Dwayne, when his father had told a story once, his father's passed now, and Bill was there for a lot of our visits. But I remember him telling a story once where he heard the adult and one of the children talking outside his bedroom window, and he said it was like the kid was just, just going a mile a minute with the voice there. So it's too bad we didn't get that recorded. I have heard a couple little similar things in some of Ron's stuff. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
Nefertia, when it sounds like he's talking, it sounds like his lung capacity is just humongous. And it almost sounds like when he tries to speak, it's almost like he is inhaling and speaking at the same time, like his vocal cords work. It sounds like they work a little different than what ours would work, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it really does. And, I put up with a lot of people, oh, he's just talking, it's just a human talking while they're inhaling. It's like, well, he is a human type, and it's still a Sasquatch, but they are a human type, and he does vocalize on both the inhale and the exhale, but also with a velocity that, you're not going to get from somebody like us, right?
Have you had any encounters with okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just, go ahead. Okay.
Have you had any, what people talk about, the infrasound? Have you been affected by any infrasound? Like if you've been sick, have they made you sick or like disoriented or anything like that?
There's two incidents that come to mind. There might be more, but two that really stick out for me. So one was when I first, back in 2008, October 25th, 2008 was my first close vocal encounter. So I went back a week later. And, well, I'll first say when I had that encounter, right before it happened, there was like a chest thump. The guy I was with had picked up about a fist-sized rock and went and whacked a big mature pine several times. And then it was seconds after that I heard this rapid triple gorilla chest thump sound, right? And I've been in the woods enough, so I knew that instantly just something was weird. And I heard that tone, that chest thump thing. So when I and that was right before the vocalization. So when I went back the next week, I was by myself. I had my camera gear, my video camera, I had everything, and I was walking a trail very close to where that initial encounter happened. And suddenly I heard that exact same triple chest thump tone that I heard the week before. So I knew they were right there. And the next thing I know, I'm halfway home in my car, not knowing how I got there. So they basically made me leave without me realizing what was going on. That was one. And there was another one where Dwayne and I are in the cottage, and we're sitting at the table. And he looks at the window across the road, and that's where the incline is, the forest is. And he comments on a hairy tree, So basically, one of them was standing there. So I had all my equipment. I used nothing. I didn't look through binoculars that I remember. I didn't use a camera, video camera, nothing. And we both forgot about it. Both of us forgot about it in the moment. And it came flooding back to both of us on the next visit. It was just like, wow, what the hell happened there? We witnessed this. Our minds were basically wiped, and then it came back to us on the next visit. So yeah, a couple incidents like that.
That I got hit with something while I was mushroom hunting one time, and it like some infrasound stuff, and it made me deathly sick. And I thought I was actually looking at some rock outcroppings and thinking that this would be a good place for Bigfoot to be. And I thought, man, they hit me with something, and I got deathly sick. I could have vomited right there, but I tried to hold everything together, and I walked out of there the way that I come in, and I act like nothing was going on. But I tell you, it was all I could do to get out of there. It made me sick. But it was only one time.
It sounds like you. Yeah, it sounds like you were closer than you think.
Yeah, there was a rock I was looking at, and there was a hole like right behind the hole. And as I was looking in that hole, I thought to myself, I thought, man, they could be in there peeking out. You know, there could be some Bigfoot in there peeking out. Well, then I got hit with whatever that was, and I beat feet out of there. I got out of there. But I always look around big rocks and stuff, and thinking that maybe they have the ability to lift rocks and get in, behind them, like in little cavern systems we don't know about. So I'm always looking in areas around creeks and limestone for that. But I think they're, the more I get into this, I think they're more than just that have that ability to lift heavy objects. I think they can move in and out of, like you said, the dimensions. I really believe it. Do you care if we play?
I don't think they have to move the rock.
Right. Do you mind if I go ahead and try to play the audio clip for your Nefertia audio?
Yeah, go ahead. While you're getting that, while you're playing, I'm gonna go top my water up here. I'll be right back. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hello, my friend. Nefertia. How you doing, buddy? Oh, Nefertia. Can you please tell me? Netahu? Netahu? Netahu. I hope that's a good word. My buddy, my forest friend, my brother. Thank you, Nefertia. Yetahu. Can you speak up a little bit? You understand me? Yetahu. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for letting us play that audio clip. I don't know if you guys can hear it very good or not. But, I had it up as high as I could get it.
Amazing. It's like it gets better every time.
Absolutely. That how long did it take you to be able to communicate like that with him, Mike? Was it did you have to build your way up to that level of communication?
It's always what they want to give, Lee, and we'd been going there basically at that point. It was every weekend that first year, and it took about 8 months. I heard their voice the very first night, but it took 8 months of visits, and then it was the beginning of May 2013. That's when they really started letting us hear their voice, and you know, and it just progressed from there, right?
Did you ever have any encounters where you felt like you were threatened? Like you thought, well, I better get out of here? Did they do anything threatening to you, or was it always kind of malevolent?
Benevolent. There was one time that I got whacked in the head with a tree branch while I was inside my tent. I was standing up, blowing up an air mattress with a manual pump, and I was running a video camera at the time, but I didn't have it pointing towards me. I just had it pointing towards, but you can hear the audio, and you hear this branch break, and it goes crack and then whacks my head so fast, so you know that it didn't just fall off the tree by itself. You can tell it just.
Oh wow!
It happened too quick, right? It was almost like Neff playing whack-a-mole or something. And that one time, and so you know, enough of that crap, and it's never happened since. And I also, you know, at the beginning, and it took some time too. I've gone through a lot of fear. I had to go through a lot of fear to push through a lot of fear to get where I am now, right?
Absolutely.
I had no idea what I was dealing with.
Yeah. You know,
I still might.
Just that experience alone would be enough to scare you. That experience alone would just be enough to scare you to death. I had an incident happen to me where I saw a UFO in broad daylight right by my house, and it made the hair stand up on the back of my neck. And you know, I always thought to myself, if I ever saw one, I'd be like happy and thinking, "Wow, this is really neat." But man, it makes you think: is this good or is this bad? Or you know, it puts you in a state of confusion at first, and the confusion is really fearful. It very causes a lot of fear and anxiety.
Yeah, I could understand that.
I had you know, you talk about the mind. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say.
I was just asking about your UFO and.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mike, and ask me a question.
That you saw, was like a close ship that you?
I've got almost 100
close visual that you were given.
Yeah, I've got 180 photographs of it, and it was a white disc, and it was sitting on the edge. And when I first saw it, at first it was coming out of a cloud, and I thought it was a weather balloon at first, and then the hair stood up on the back of my neck when I got a really close look at it, and I could see it was a disc, and it had 3 domes on the bottom of it. And it had these little porthole looking windows around the outside edge of it. But, you know, it didn't sit in the sky like classic UFO they show on TV, like flat, you know, in the sky. This thing set up on edge. And what it looked like was it looked like a white ship is what it was. And it looked to me like it was either metal or it was some kind of a metal or a plastic looking stuff, like it was almost looked like it was molded, if that makes any sense. And I tried to I know that stupid as this sounds, I tried to telepathically communicate with them, and basically what I told them was, I said, if you're not here for the greater good of mankind, then you don't need to be here and you don't need to come back. But I said, if you're here to help humanity and you want to help us out, then that's okay. But if you're here and meaning bad things for us, we don't want you here. So I was probably stupid of me to do that, but
yeah, I don't think so.
And then I had about probably, I don't know, maybe 6 months after that happened, I saw 2 more in the daytime, but these were light ships, if that makes any sense. And they come down out of the clouds, and I'd say they was about maybe 300-400 feet off the ground. They come out of the clouds, and best way I can describe them, if you've ever seen the footage of the flyover in Washington D.C. of the light ships that fly over, they say that those were basically Nazi UFO craft that went over. I think it was in 1956, but they look like that. And these things come down out of the clouds, and they spun around clockwise of each other, and then they just shot straight back up in the clouds where they come from. But I got a telepathic communications from that, and what they told me is they said, we will not be coming back. So I don't know what that was all about. And but it was like when I saw the light that came off of it, it was like a dull, bright light, if that makes sense. It was kind of dull, but it was bright, and it was maybe like a bluish white color. And it was like the first impression that I got off of it was that this isn't a good thing. This isn't a good light source, so like a happy light. And then I got that telepathic communication. So I think whatever those craft were, I think they were bad, and I think they left, and I haven't seen anything yet since. So I don't know if I ran them off or what, but I didn't get a good feeling off of that one.
Wow.
I'll share something with you, Mike. And my grandfather was ridiculed when he told this story, and he wouldn't tell a lot of people about this. I didn't even know about it until my dad told me. But basically, long story short, my grandfather claimed that he met a man that told him he was from Venus. He asked my grandfather if he'd be interested in going to another planet. My grandfather went with him. He boarded a craft with these men. There were men on there that he said that you couldn't tell the difference between them and humans, and they told him about Venus and different things. They said that they didn't live on the outside of it; they lived on the inside of it, and they basically told him they could take him up there, and he could live with them for 10 years, and he would be so intelligent that the most intelligent person here on Earth would be. It would just have like the IQ of a monkey to him, or the intelligence of a monkey, not IQ. But anyway, long story short, they took him to Mars and told him they were going to show him that there was life on Mars. And when they landed, they got out of the craft and was walking around some big boulder outcroppings, and they told him that the life that was on Mars lived underground, and these beings come up out of the ground. And I asked my grandfather what they looked like, and he said that this is his exact words. He said what they looked like he said they were like 7 to 8 feet tall, and they resembled what we think of here on Earth as Bigfoot. So I've often thought that there is a connection with the UFOs, and I've thought that UFO that I saw has some kind of tie with the footprint that I found in the woods. So that's just my opinion.
It sounds to me like you have you have a connection, obviously. So this is why things, and it runs in your family. Perhaps it's a DNA thing. I don't know.
Yeah, and my grandfather actually had a witness that corroborated, the seeing the person and interacting with the person, because this other person had interacted with the same individual and had a weird experience also with them. So, and that's why I think there's more to these beings in the quantum, the quantum reality of these things, and the things that their abilities, their quantum abilities. That's why I think there's a tie between, they can go interdimensional, in and out, and maybe there's places here on Earth where they can come in and out. Maybe they're coming from Mars. Maybe they come here to eat. Mars doesn't look like it has a lot on the surface, if we're to believe what NASA and them tell us. It looks like a desert planet. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I've asked Neff's family a few questions, which basically has me questioning everything NASA has told us. But as you know, I've asked the Sasquatch, I've asked Neff's family, where do your people come from? Apparently, they're like the first indigenous people of Earth. From what they've stated, that's what it sounds like from the questions I've had answered, and they're there's a UFO connection, so perhaps they're visiting other planets. I don't know, because there's cases where they've been seen coming and going from UFOs, right? So, I know very little. The more I learn, the more I realize I know nothing, right?
I had seen a documentary one time, and it just kind of made me think here, where they talked about the first beings, like you're talking about these Sasquatch being the first beings here on Earth. They were genetically made by supposedly the Anunnaki that they talk about, and that they were made to mine gold, and that we were made eventually we were made to, DNA was manipulated so that we could mine gold. But anyway, what if these beings, they have been manipulated to, that's one of their functions, is to mine things for these other say like if they're UFOs or aliens out there, maybe they're having these things mine gold for them, and maybe they take them back and forth to these different planets, like Mars and Earth. That's just a theory, but I believe my grandfather's story, and he had no reason to lie about it, and I've had too much stuff happen to me that now I believe there's a connection between what happened to my grandfather and what's happening to me now. So.
Yeah, like I was mentioning earlier, it seems like maybe perhaps it's something in your DNA. Who knows? As far as the abilities the Sasquatch have, I've asked them anywhere, and they said yes.
That's amazing.
They've given me a bunch of. They've given me numerous drawings trying to explain how that is done, but I can't understand these drawings. They're they're just lines and dots, and they almost look like equations of some sort, but I haven't been able to figure it out yet.
Could it be maybe like a binary code, maybe, or a like a Morse code type deal, like dots and dashes type thing?
Actually, you know what? I might have some right here. Hold on. I have sketch pads right here with 3 dots in a triangle come up often. 3 dots come up often. Yeah, so here's one of these drawings that I was talking about.
Oh wow, I see it.
Idea.
Yes, 3 dots in a triangle. Huh. Wow. It almost looks like some kind of a like a Sumerian writing almost.
I had asked what's the size comparison of Neff to Dwayne and myself, at this point. Sorry. So they gave us this.
Wow. He's huge. How tall are you, Mike?
So Dwayne, they put a D for Dwayne. I'm 6 feet.
So he's well over 12 feet then.
I think Neff's probably close to 8.
Wow.
No. I think he's close to. I think he's. I got his age, so.
That's what I was wanting to ask. Do you happen to know, in your own opinion, the lifespan of a Sasquatch?
I've gotten a bit of little bit of intel on that. So sometimes I ask a question, I don't get a response. So I asked them the question, how long do your people live? And they didn't respond to that. And then I said, do your people live longer than 200 human years? And they wrote yes. So then I wrote, do your people live longer than 500 years? And they didn't respond. Then I dropped it and I said, they live longer than 300. They didn't respond, but they live longer than 200 human years. So
Wow.
here's another one of those equations.
Wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. Man, if you could
it does look like a Sumerian writing, Lee. You're right. It looks like some kind of writing.
This is really sad. Humans die sad, and that's needed. This is this.
Wow.
Because they know what's going on.
Wow. That's amazing.
They're very aware of what's going on right now.
Was that an image of a sad one because of what's going on right now?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing stuff.
Yes. Here's the 3 dots they made of the Earth, the sun, and the moon on the great dome. They drew that.
Wow.
Because I'm always asking about this. I'm trying to figure this out. And then they drew that.
Wow.
It's just crazy stuff.
That is amazing.
And there's another one of those, and that actually says "go there."
Go there. So that could be like like coordinates almost, if you could decipher what their writing is. Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is that could that be Mike? Could they be drawing out tree structures maybe? Like the dots maybe represent an arch? I'm just throwing it out there as an example. Could it be like do you find a lot of structures where you're at? I was going to say they could be telling you to go where there's some structures maybe.
Structures like I've found a lot of structures in my research over the years, but with that situation, there's been minimal. Most of them have actually been erected around my tent area. Here's another one of these drawings.
Wow. ... That is, they are definitely trying to tell you something. Wow.
Oh yeah. That was when the plane flew over the cottage. That's probably one of the young ones drew that, and they wrote coming out of it, maybe Lidar or something.
Oh wow. Wow. Like they're showing you that there was some kind of energy coming out of the plane, right?
Yeah, some sort of technology searching for them. So whatever those 3 dots are, it's a good thing.
I'm just going to bring this up, David or Mike. The 3 dots. I saw UFOs in that shape, exact shape, 3 dots.
Yep.
And they were 3 orange fireballs in the sky, and they made that pattern.
There's a thing that happened with Dwayne at the cottage where he had 3 dots in a triangle in light form appear on his arm while we were sitting there. It happened twice. So.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a lot of another little kind of almost looks like a vibrational thing.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Like a wave, like some kind of a wave form. Um,
Yeah.
I got a quick question. This area where you go to, is it remote enough, Mike, that you don't have any cell phone signal there? Because I have a theory that these beings don't go to. They go to areas where there's hardly any signal.
No, there's cell signals there. It's hard to get away from that stuff at this point.
Okay.
But like also, as I mentioned, when you connect with them, it doesn't matter where you go. Like I used to live in Toronto, and the activity would follow me home.
There you go. There you go. That's what I say about Fort Worth. I think
no matter where I go, the activity.
I think they're everywhere, not just the woods, the city as well.
They can show up anywhere. I had activity happen in my car. I had activity follow me happen in my workplace. Even it's insane. It doesn't matter where I go. They show me that no matter where you go, Mike, we know where you are, and they've shown their presence.
Hey, Mike, what's your? Have you ever had any encounters with the dog man, or do you know anything about them? I know that's off topic.
I asked. I've had a couple telepathic incidents that very nasty snarling and canine kind of sounding, and I've also asked. That happened in Mendocino in California, and I've also asked Neff's family about the dog man. I said, "Are the dog man your people?" They wrote no. And I said, "Are the dog man good? Are they good?" And they wrote no. So
wow,
that's what I've gotten about that.
Wow. So that's almost like they're from their own, wherever they're from. That's another thing. The question that ruffled feathers: Sasquatch, cryptids. What are they? Flesh and blood, or particularly Sasquatch? I'm gonna say flesh and blood. Interdimensional, fallen angels. What do you think, Mike? In your own opinion.
Flesh and blood, but masters of energy.
Wow, I have never heard anyone put it that way, and I totally respect that. That sounds spot on to me.
There's cases where I recall a trackway found that showed a crippled foot. If it's a crippled foot, that alludes to flesh and blood.
Mm-hmm.
I know what Neff looks like I know what his face looks like. I know what his physical face looks like clearly. Mm-hmm. And flesh and blood, but they understand energy at a quantum level, that they can manipulate, interact with energy in a way that we just don't understand yet, right?
So that's what I think is unfortunate. There's a lot of people in the cryptid world that believe Sasquatch, is strictly flesh and blood. They don't do portals. They don't do orbs. They're I'm not saying closed-minded. They just believe in what they believe, and it's not fair to the other people that have witnessed the orbs, the weird things like portals, the interdimensional type of sightings, because it makes those people look bad. So I'm always open-minded to everything, and I think what you said basically nails it on the head. I 100% believe in your theory. Did we lose Lee?
From my experience,
Lee, did we lose you?
Not sure.
No, I'm here.
I was
going to ask Mike. Does Nefertia, does he have a family, like a wife and children?
Oh yeah.
Or he does.
Oh,
awesome.
A wife in that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Like I know
Or-
his family is sister and I think mother, father, all that. I don't know if he's got a girlfriend or a wife or I don't know that.
or-
It's a good
Okay.
question to ask him when I get an opportunity.
What about any physical, like the physical part of Nefertia, color of hair or eye color, anything like that? You know of?
He's got black eyes. He's got black skin, black hair.
Wow, that classic jet black look.
Did you have a picture of him, Mike?
Yeah.
Like sitting behind a root ball, like a tree stump or a root ball, and he was peeking over the top of it. Was that him?
There was a picture I took that I didn't know I had for 6 months that I think it's one of them peeking over top of that root ball, but I know what Neff's face looks like now, and it's not Neff because that skin on that face is gray. Neff's is black. So
Okay.
The Todd Standing video of the Sasquatch that he's recorded and got pictures of, how close in facial features is Nefertia to that, or is he totally different look than what they look like? If you've seen those.
Okay. I'm not here to slam anybody, but
we don't have to discuss it, Mike.
No, but I'll say that I've built trust with their people. I've barely had a visual. Some people get a lot of visuals. Standing, I know somebody who's worked close with him in the field for 3 years. She's a good friend of mine. Standing is, they know you're coming before you even get there. I pulled up in my car, opened my car, and relieved myself at the side of by the trees there. And how long does that take? And I turn around, there's a rock sitting on my seat. Hey, we're here, Mike.
Wow.
They know when I'm coming, always. So if standing, they know when standing's coming. His intentions are not like mine. He doesn't even believe they have abilities. He is not getting that footage. I actually took his photos to the cottage, and I asked them specifically about those photos. That Standing claims is real. Standing claims is real, and I said, "Is this your people? Are these real?" They said no, and I already knew that answer. So I don't believe anything from him. He does get activity, that I know he does get, but as far as claiming, those photos are authentic, I don't believe them for a second.
Okay. So we didn't mean to put you on the spot like that, Mike.
Oh, no, that's okay.
I appreciate your answer.
Yeah, it looks nothing like Neff either. So.
What
Is there
about
any light in?
Oh, sorry.
They got oily skin.
Oh, I wanted to ask him what he thought about the Patty footage and if she is real.
That's another one that is just, for me, it's cut and dry, black and white. It's like, how could that not be real? It's 1967. Hollywood couldn't even come close. You can see her muscles. It's
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. Yeah.
Yeah, a suit would be real loose fitting, and you can see thigh muscles, calf muscles. Even Lee zoomed it in one time, and I swear it looked like she was holding a little baby to the side. There's a quick few seconds you have to pay attention, and there it was. It looks like a baby's holding on. It was unbelievable. He might can tell you a little more about that, but that was awesome to see that.
Yeah, what made me look at that was I was watching the clip really closely, and it moved in a certain way that I thought I saw a little baby foot, when she moved just for a split second. And so then I got to looking at it, and somebody had recorded footage of what was supposed to be a Bigfoot standing in it was a trapper, I take it, and he was supposed to took a picture of a Bigfoot in a pine tree somewhere, and you could see like the face, like from the nose down, and then you could see hair draping over it, and the hair looked like it was almost like dreadlock, matted, like dreadlock type looking hair. And when I found the baby on that footage, or what appears to be a baby, it looked like the shape of the hair and the head was almost identical to what this trapper's footage was that he was claiming was a Bigfoot. So that's the foot movement. When I thought I saw a foot in the footage, and the shape of the head is what really drawed me into that photograph. And I don't know if it is or not. People have poo-pooed it and said no, that's not what it is, but it sure looked like it to me. David says it looked like to him too, but
Yeah, it looks like a baby cling. Well, it looks like it looks like a baby clinging to the fur.
yeah. If I could pull that footage up,
I get a lot of
would show it to you.
I get a lot of people, sending pictures to me often enough, and I've always kept it, as far as myself goes, anyways. I'm a skeptic first myself, right? And I always keep it. If I can't see something clear enough, I basically push it away. I dismiss it, or it has to have a certain level of clarity to it for me to, say, yeah, but. That's just part of my research, putting this stuff out there too. I've avoided. I've probably thrown a ton of stuff in the garbage of my own that could be very real, but it's not enough for me, right?
Right.
I like that. I like that approach. Trying to debunk it the best way you can before you say one way or another if it is or if it isn't. That's one of the things that I try to do. I try to. Like even the UFO that I saw, I was trying to say, is this a weather balloon? What is this? But then it was not a weather balloon. I can guarantee you that.
No, I've seen weather balloons, Lee. That was not a weather balloon.
No. And here's the thing. The thing that I watched, Mike, I watched it for an hour and 45 minutes.
Wow.
So it wasn't like it was just like it come in, zipped in, and then zipped out.
Time.
I watched it for an hour. Yeah, and it didn't. You know how like you would think we always think that a UFO spins around or whatever. This thing didn't spin. It didn't move, and it just sat motionless in the air. And it took it an hour to go, and I'm guessing maybe about a half a mile, and then it took another 45 minutes to go about another half a mile.
Anti-gravity propulsion.
Yeah, and that's what it appeared to be to me. And I kept thinking to myself while I was watching it, if this is some military drone or some military tech that we have, then we've got some stuff that's far in advance of what anybody knows. And it could have been a drone of some sort, because I live close to a military air base, but I didn't try to call them because I figured they already knew it was there anyway. Have you had any?
Like who knows what they have with all? I just saying, who knows what they have with the trillions they've siphoned, and then the the amount of money that is being given to NASA every year. Who knows what they've created with all that massive amount of money they've taken from the people.
Absolutely. I heard a thing the other day. They said, I think it was the first time they had the Gulf War overseas, and I think it was a war in Iraq. It cost $700 million a day. $700 million a day. That is $700 million a day that they could be spending here on the United States. Our school system is in deplorable conditions, and it's horrible. And the healthcare system is, basically bankrupt. And, we need to learn to heal instead of learn to kill, I don't know. It's just all the
yeah, we just we need to sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there.
No, that's okay. Go right ahead, Mike. Go on.
I'm basically just saying we need to round up all this the group of psychopaths in power who have their agenda against us. This World Economic Forum, all these people involved, but there's a long enough list of elites that are responsible for all this trouble going on in the world. It's being done on purpose, and I think this is part of why the UFO, the ET races, the Sasquatch, that they're starting to really expose their existence. They want us to wake up. They want us to see that there's much more to our existence than what we've basically been brainwashed to believe.
I think that if we could ever move past this war mentality and all this hatred for each other, and the truth comes out about these Sasquatch, I think they're trying to teach us how to, how to be advanced beings. How we basically we are in a time where we need to start evolving beyond the war footings that we've been on, and it's these elite few that keep us in the turmoil that we're experiencing throughout our lifetime. All the wars, no longer than I've been alive on this planet, and you, Mike and David, we've seen multiple wars and all this stuff. And has all that been a distraction to take us away from the truth and the meaning of what we really are as
think about
a
this
human being? Because
think about this, guys. Sorry to cut you off, Lee. I'm just thinking, what if they know something that we don't? That maybe the Earth is that is in danger. They know that Earth is in danger more than what we know, is what I'm trying to say. And like you said, Lee, it's like they're trying to tell us something.
Absolutely. That's what I feel. I feel it in my spirit, man. They're telling us that.
Yes. I have dreams about this stuff, and just something's happening. They're trying to tell us something.
Absolutely. Are you safe up there where you're at, Mike? I know there's a lot of stuff going on up in Canada. We keep an eye on things going on up there, and I know you can't really talk about a lot of stuff because of the way things are set up there. But are you safe? Do you feel safe where you're at?
I think I'm in a pretty good spot here. Like I have the woods behind me. I love this area. It's it's a beautiful spot. It's nice and I'm surrounded by nature, right? So I think I was actually I think I was guided here, to be honest. And
there you go.
So
yeah.
I've been shown again and again and again. I'm closely watched, so I just have to keep my eye on the ball, basically, right?
Have you had any? I was going to ask. Have you had any encounters with, say, men in black, or as David calls them, the men in the Suburbans? Anybody?
The boys and birds.
You've had any warnings or anything?
No, not that I've really noticed, and I think perhaps they don't do that because I'm the type of guy that like, yeah, you're not scaring me. No, you're not scaring me. Sorry, after what I've dealt with, I'm not afraid of humans. So I haven't had any. There's been slandering and stalking, trespassing. It doesn't scare. If I get hold of you, that sort of thing. That's about it.
Mike, did you throughout all of this before before this happened to you and everything, did you was there a point in time in your life when you had an awakening, when you were like, when all of a sudden it's like you could see through all the lies and everything that's going on around you, like like we were talking about government, for instance, and the bad things that they've done? Because I reached a point one time when I thought to myself, I'm not going to be afraid of this no more. We all live and we all die, and we're just here for a short time. I'm not going to be afraid anymore. I just basically turn the TV off, and I don't watch TV anymore.
Yeah, they want us to live in fear.
Absolutely. And here's another thing. I think that in these groups that's out here, especially some of the cryptid groups, I think there's people that are paid to go in there and stir things up and to ridicule people and to manipulate the situation to keep the truth from getting out.
I agree. I've witnessed that.
Yes.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I've had. Sorry. Go ahead, David.
Oh no, I was through, sir. You go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say that I've had things happen throughout my entire life periodically with paranormal, and all the way back to the crib. There's a story my folks told me where I was talking to somebody, when I was in the crib. So this has been going on throughout my whole life. As far as was there a point in time where I basically woke right up? And I think it's always been there, and I just didn't understand it, for a long time, for decades, really. And then when all this stuff came about with all this contact experience, that's really what awakened me fully. Although I already knew my government was corrupt, and that this system is basically one big fat lie and manipulation, and I already knew that. But at this point, yeah, I see a lot more.
Mike, do you go to any conferences or give any speeches at any conferences or anything, or are you just not want to be involved in anything like that?
We don't really have that here. It's more stateside. So I did attend the Sasquatch Summit once. Johnny invited me down, and then I was asked to speak there, and I was on my way, and I'd been across the border many times, and then I had a connecting flight in Calgary, and I got pulled aside by Homeland Security, and they asked what I was doing. I told them I was going to speak at a Sasquatch conference, and they denied me entry for stupid stuff I did growing up, 30 years ago.
Oh, man.
So basically they red flagged me, and now I have to go through a whole waiver process where,
that
I
just
can do
means
it.
one
It's
thing,
just,
Mike.
it's costly. That's all, right?
That just means one thing.
I'm on the
Mike,
right path.
That's right. That's right. You're over the target, Mike. And they wouldn't have pulled you aside if there wasn't nothing to it. But that always tells me right there who the real deal is and who's not.
That's the answer.
Mm-hmm. It sure is. They can be pretty cruel, the Homeland Security. They and I don't even think we really need them, man. They know who the terrorists are. They got computers.
Oh yeah,
They got
no
computers. Doubt. I know somebody that tracks them down on computer. Works in the Pentagon. So they know who we are, what we are, and they know everything about us.
Oh yeah,
and that's sad. I'm sorry that you wasn't able to come and attend that thing, Mike. But man, that's sad.
They wanted to microchip us a long time ago, but the cell phones, they wanted to microchip us a long time ago, but really they already did with everybody having a cell phone. They know where everybody is all the time.
Yeah. Yep. Go ahead, Mike.
Sorry, fellas.
I did end up speaking at that Sasquatch Summit, but I ended up doing it remotely. So it was before, all this stuff going on now. Zoom wasn't really being used. I actually don't think that there was anybody that had done a conference that way up to that point. I think I was the first one. So at least I got to do that, right? So I still did the conference from at home.
You mentioned the name is it Bendenagel? The Dr. Bendenagel? Did you worked with him a little bit? I bet he was he
Yeah, a
seems
little
like
bit.
he was.
Yeah, he came to Ontario, and John was he was a good man. He was um, he was involved in this subject for 4 decades. He was a wildlife biologist, very well respected. And when he came to Ontario, I took him to the location where I had my first close vocal encounter and showed him a bunch of structures I'd found, that sort of thing. And that was before I'd been involved in the situation where I've been documenting for a decade. But when that happened, I ended up, I sent him a cast copy and a disc of audio and all kinds of photos and information. So, I've always been very open with science. Dimitri too, I gave them a lot of stuff, and just very open and honest about what I was dealing with. And, I don't really hold back. Right. So John was a good man.
Do you have a lot of plaster casts, Mike? Do you have like a collection of plaster cast of footprints and stuff?
Yeah, I got a bunch. Yeah, not like a whole huge collection, but basically all from Neff's family.
Oh,
different family members.
What's the largest footprint you've got? Is it one from Neff or just different ones?
17 inches, but Dwayne has 20 inch.
Wow.
20 inch is now 21 inches. Neff's print has grown 4 inches over 8 winters. So that, as of last winter, was 16 inches. So I've documented 4 inches of growth over 8 winters, and then some of the young ones, and an older family member with a 17-inch print. So yeah, I've been able to get a few of them, anyways, for sure. And all my prints are documented or cast in snow, right? So there has to be certain conditions for that stuff to basically harden properly. It's got the temperature can't be too cold.
Is it hard to do in the snow? Pretty hard. I would think it'd be really hard to do. That'd be delicate.
If you're getting the temperatures up around, yeah, if you're getting close to 0 or what is it, 32, then you stand a much better chance of getting a good cast. The colder it gets, especially when you're minus 20 Celsius, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. But when you're around when you're around 0, 32, it's much better for casting.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Have you seen any have you noticed if there's a connection to any coyote activity? Because for some reason here in Indiana, they follow the coyotes for some reason. I've had people tell me about seeing them with coyotes.
It's funny you mentioned that, because that's kind of been on my radar a bit this week. I actually had a discussion the other day with somebody about that. So I've recorded Sasquatch vocalizations among the coyotes, and I recorded some coyotes here behind the house just the other week, and right at the beginning is 2 howls, and I'm telling my girlfriend, I don't think that's coyotes, and then all the coyotes suddenly start yipping, right? I said, coyotes from my, I looked all these videos up. It's, to find them howling, they're always, they yip. And so I have this recording that I got the other week, like here, and it's funny. And it's 2 howls at the beginning. And I think it might be Sasquatch at the very beginning, and then the coyotes start. But also at Dwayne's cottage, I've recorded the Sasquatch vocals among the coyotes. So yes, I definitely agree that Sasquatch and coyotes, they they interact together.
Yeah, I had something follow me one morning to my tree stand, and I was using my red hunter's light, and that red light only goes out so far, and then it's just like a wall of black just on the other side of it. And whatever this thing was, it stayed just right outside of the light, and then it circled around my tree stand, went behind me, and then went in the thicket. And then when maybe, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes after that, here come these coyotes running in. And they went right to where whatever that thing was, and the last one that came through was whining like he was, like he'd been a bad boy. And I don't know what that was that walked with me, but it paralleled me, and it sounded pretty good size. And I've often thought I felt like it was a Bigfoot, is what I thought it was, because I had one knock on a tree while I was coming out one night. And the tree wasn't no more than probably 10, 15 feet away from me. And I thought, wow, that's not a woodpecker pecking at night, because woodpeckers don't come out at night like that. And it tapped 3 times on a tree. It went knock, knock, knock. And I just kind of sit there for a second. And then I thought, well, I'm just going to act like I didn't hear it. And then I just walked on off. But I think I had a guy tell me he was sitting in a car. He had slept in his car one night, and there was a fog. It was real foggy. And he said this coyote came in the front of the car, and this coyote started spinning around and yipping. It was like just spinning in a circle and yipping. And that's what woke him up. And so he's watching this coyote spinning in a circle. And then all of a sudden the coyote takes off to his left. And then here comes a Sasquatch right across the road, right behind the coyote. So there's something to that. Cool. There's some kind of connection there. Maybe like the Bigfoot see the coyote as like a little pet or something, or maybe they follow him to like a kill or something. I don't know. I don't know what the connection is, but there's something interesting about the coyotes and them.
Hey, maybe the coyotes follow them to that game that the Bigfoot cannot catch.
Maybe.
There's definitely a connection between them from what I see, anyways, from my experience.
That's awesome. Do you guys have wolves up there, Mike, where you're at?
Yeah, but I've had Neff's family show me that they do wolf howls, because they did it midday. One time, Dwayne and I are sitting in the cottage, and it was midday, and right outside the cottage wall, it was so loud, it sounded like it was inside, and we just sat there stunned looking at each other, and we knew right then, that's them. So I've recorded them doing that as well. So I've also recorded some howls here, and I'm trying to figure out if it's them, doing that again and showing their presence here. I actually went to visit a couple that have Sasquatch activity going on their property, and they had some some livestock, and they had a rooster, and there's no roosters up in Neff's area. So what was funny was the next visit, when I went to Neff's area, I recorded a rooster call going off, and it was at one point, it's way off in the distance, and then it didn't take long, and then suddenly the call's much closer, and it's like, and it sounds just like a rooster, but it's not. It's them, right? It's Neff's family. But it was funny that I was way off in this other location, hours away, and suddenly, I'm getting a rooster call when I'm recording up at Neff's. So it's pretty funny that again, like they're giving information, basically telling me that, hey, we knew you were there, and we know they got a rooster, and it's just very strange stuff. It's constant.
One of the encounters that I had, it started out with a hoot owl call, and it didn't sound quite like a hoot owl, if that makes sense. And then when the hoot owl,
Right.
after the hoot owl call went off, I could hear it sound like two Bigfoot down in the bottom of this ravine communicating back and forth with each other. And so then the hoot owl went off again up in the tree. And then probably maybe, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes after it went off, it sounded like something heavy dropped out of the tree and then jumped from one side of the ravine over to the other. So I think it was them, but that's after that happened. That's when all the eye activity happened. And it wasn't like, when I say eye shine, not eye shine, but it was like self-illuminated eyes, and they were electric blue. You have seen it, Mike. These things
Once.
were
Yeah.
these things were peeking out around trees. They were standing between our vehicles, and they were tilting their heads back and forth, like how like a dog is curious, like when because we were communicating, we were talking to them, telling them thanks for coming and seeing us or whatever. And one of them tried to get up in the back of my buddy's van, and it shook the van, and it like you could hear everything rattling inside the van. But there was no light source when that happened. And they were, like I said, they were electric blue. But the first time I had an encounter was when I was deer hunting when I was young. I was probably 18, 19 years old at the time. It happened in 94 is when it happened. And it was opening day of gun season, and we'd went to this spot that I'd gotten a deer with a bow, and we'd went there an hour before daylight, and there was four ridge tops that come together and made kind of a bowl down in the bottom of it. And I had walked back in there without using a flashlight. And I know it's not smart, especially during gun season, you get shot, but I was young and stupid. I didn't have a tree stand at the time, never because back then we just hunted on the ground. And well, long story short, this thing came in from the deepest part of the woods, and my mom was telling me this morning, she said that thing was watching you the whole time. She said that thing came directly to you. And I think she's right, because it came off the ridge top to my right, coming from the deepest part of the woods, and it came down in front of me, and it was about 7 to 8 feet off the ground that I can best estimate. Could have been 9, but because I was looking down, but it was up off the ground, and it was almost eye to eye with me. But it was about 30 yards away. And Mike, when I say this, I'm not over exaggerating. These eyes that appeared in the dark, there was no light. It was overcast that day. So, and it was a little foggy going in. So when it's like that, you can't see your hand in front of your face. But when these eyes lit up in the woods, the first thing I thought was there was somebody with a coal miner lamp, and they were messing with me. I thought somebody had put 2 coal miner lamps on their helmet and, was trying to run me out of the woods. And so I was just like sitting there looking at it, and I was like, am I really seeing this? And they were, the eyes were, like a whitish color is the best way I could describe them. And they was about the size of a baseball. And I know like a whale has eyes that, I don't think a whale has eyes the size of a baseball, because that'd be the biggest thing on the planet. But these eyes, do you know what Felix the cat, you know how the black, they were like black eyes with white slits in them or whatever. Well, this was all yellowy white color, but they had black slits in them. And I that's what really made me think that somebody was messing with me, because I was like, that's just weird. And as this thing came by, and it stopped about, I don't know, it just stopped right to the left of me, just at an angle down the hill from me. And I get this message. And it wasn't like I hear a voice in my head. It was like a knowing, if that makes sense. And this message was, the message was, I just wanted you to know that I'm here. And as quickly as the eyes appeared, they just disappeared. I don't know if the thing turned its head, or it closed its eyes and then turned its head or whatever. But then it continued walking on out. It walked right on out of the woods, and I listened to it go out to the field to my left. But I have no idea what that is. With black slits in them, they were, the reptilian looking eyes, but that thing, as close as it was and as big as it was, if height wise, I don't know how bulky or whatever it was. Because the weird thing about the eye shine was it didn't light anything up around it. It wasn't like a flashlight. It wasn't like turning on a flashlight. It didn't light anything up around it. It was just like they were self-illuminated. It was weird. I don't understand it. But if that thing wanted to get me, it could have got me in a second. I believe. And it didn't. It didn't try to attack me. It didn't do anything like that.
I understand what you witnessed because I've seen it once, and it's like there's a light bulb turned on inside its head. It's just I saw orange, so I have witnessed that, and that was actually the first night I went to spend in a tent at Dwayne's property. So I only saw it the one time, but yeah, it was pretty astonishing.
Was it two? Did you see two eyes or one? Just one, like peeking from the side, or did you see two? One. Okay. I actually went back to the spot where
I saw just one, most likely
peeking around a tree.
I just say most likely peeking from behind a tree. Yeah. That's what I think.
I went back to the spot where I saw the blue eyes with the person that I went the first time, and they were like, I had taken my Native American flute with me the first time, and I was playing them flute music, trying to have an experience with them because I knew they were in there. And he came the second time, and I didn't take my flute that time, but he had a radio, and he was playing this classical music that sounded like war drums playing, pounding. And I said, don't play that music because they're not going to come to that. That's too aggressive. That music's too aggressive. And I saw one blue eye. It was up on the hilltop, and it just like it was peeking out the side of its, like peeking around the trees, like you're saying. And I seen it kind of go down at an angle off the hill. But we didn't have any more activity than that. And I think it was because he was playing some music that was too aggressive for these beings. And I made my decision right then and there that I was never going to take them back into that area because that's not right.
Yeah.
But, well, Mike, do we need to let you go here, or can you keep on talking? If not, we can let you go.
Actually got some tasks I got to take care of, and so.
Hey, we really appreciate you coming on the show, Mike. I'm sorry about all the audio issues.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we were so excited, man, to have you on here. You are so awesome, Mike. You're the salt of the earth, man, and thank you for getting the truth out there, because that's what we need. We need more of the truth. Yes, and we need to let people know that these things are out there, and that there's a reality that we don't understand fully.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Lee, and Dave. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm just like one of the guys. I'm no different than any of you guys, and I just been gifted something fantastic. I just love it, and I just want to scream from the mountaintops. That's
well, you deserve to scream from the mountaintops, man. That is a blessing and a wonderful thing and a wonderful gift that you have, Mike. And keep going, man. Keep going. You're gonna get the answers, man. You're gonna do it, man. You are what the rest of them want to be, man, and they're not doing it, but you are absolutely doing it, man. Thank you for coming on the show, and thanks for everybody that showed up today. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I just gonna say, I know there's more and more people that are experiencing this, similar stuff, and we're all giving our own personal journey with the hairy folk, and I'm grateful for all they give me, and I just hope it continues, for the rest of my life. So
absolutely,
and it is something that's meant to be shared.
Yeah. Yes. It absolutely. It sure is. Hey, well, we won't keep you any longer, Mike, and thank you for coming on our show. We'd like to have you come on again sometime if you'd like to, and we'll talk at you guys later. I'd like to thank Dave that came for being on the show with me and putting all this together and getting a hold of you. And he's been awesome, man. He is an awesome dude.
Hey, appreciate it, brother.
And I'd like to thank everybody in the chat.
Can't
Thanks to
do
NCC.
can't do it without you.
Yes. Well, without further ado, we're going to get out of here. You have a blessed day, Mike, and thank you very much, buddy.
Good night, Mike.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. Okay,
Adios.
have a good night. All right.
You too.
Good night. Good night,
Okay.
Tom.
Okay, take care.
Good night, Nana.
All right.
Good night, everybody showing up. Thank you, Tom.
Starry nights just watching, weary eyes reminded of all he's forgotten. New day or night.